الدين وبعد. Inshallah ta'ala, we will now begin with a very short program. It's not a long program. Inshallah ta'ala, we're going to begin with some recitation of the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then we'll have a short reminder after that, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Now, to introduce those who are sitting with us today, alhamdulillah, we have myself, Brother Zakaria, and I would like to welcome everybody today to the celebration of the birth of our daughter. Her name is Maryam. And she should be here. If you haven't seen her, then inshallah ta'ala, you'll be able to see her before she's ready to take her nap, inshallah. So we're welcoming everybody. Jazakumullah khair for everybody, to everybody for coming today. And don't worry about the time. I know we invited everyone for 2 o'clock, but there was a lot of traffic. So alhamdulillah, as long as you're here right now, then you're on time, alhamdulillah. So without further ado, let's get started. So inshallah ta'ala, we're going to start our program today with the recitation of the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the first reciter that we will introduce is Sheikh Usama Abul Hassan Kawkan, and he is visiting us from Dubai. And he is one of the imams of the Sheikh Zayed Mosque in Dubai. And we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for blessing us with his presence today. So without further ado, let's allow the Sheikh to recite for us. And I'm going to remind us that inshallah ta'ala, be attentive. Listen to the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and try to contemplate it if you're able to do so, inshallah ta'ala. Bismillah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله فاطر السماوات والأرض جاعل الملائكة رسلا أولي أجنحة مثنى جاعل الملائكة رسلا أولي أجنحة مثنى وثلاث ورباع يزيد في الخلق ما يشاء إن الله على كل شيء قدير ما يفتح الله للناس من رحمة فلا ممسك لها وما يمسك فلا مرسل له من بعده وهو العزيز الحكيم يا أيها الناس اذكروا نعمة الله عليكم هل من خالق غير الله يرزقكم من السماء والأرض لا إله إلا هو فأنى تؤفكون وإن يكذبوك فقد كذبت رسل من قبلك وإلى الله ترجع الأمور يا أيها الناس إن وعد الله حق فلا تغرنكم الحياة الدنيا ولا يغرنكم بالله الغرور إن الشيطان لكم عدو فاتخذوه عدوا إنما يدعو حزبه ليكونوا من أصحاب السعير الذين كفروا لهم عذاب شديد والذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات لهم مغفرة وأجر كبير أفمن زين له سوء عمله فرآه حسنا فإن الله يضل من يشاء ويهدي من يشاء فلا تذهب نفسك عليهم حسرات إن الله عليم بما يصنعون صدق الله العظيم.
We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward the Shaykh for that wonderful recitation and to accept it from him and to allow all of us to benefit from it. Ameen. Now, our next reciter is actually the younger brother of Shaykh Usama, and that is Shaykh Nuh Abu Hassan Kawkam. Now, Shaykh Nuh doesn't need any introduction to any of us. We all know Shaykh Nuh, alhamdulillah. He's the Imam of Masjid Isa bin Maryam. Some of us, we see him on a daily basis, some on a weekly basis. But he's a well-known face among us, alhamdulillah. So without further ado, let's listen to this recitation by Shaykh Nuh.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والله الذي أرسل الرياح فتثير سحابا فسقناه إلى بلد ميت فأحيينا به الأرض بعد موتها كذلك النشور من كان يريد العزة فلله العزة جميعا إليه يصعد الكلم الطيب والعمل الصالح يرفعه والذين يمكرون السيئات لهم عذاب شديد ومكر أولئك هو يبور والله خلقكم من تراب ثم من نطفة ثم جعلكم أزواجا وما تحمل من أنثى ولا تضع إلا بعلمه وما يعمر من معمر ولا ينقص من عمره إلا في كتاب إن ذلك على الله يسير.
We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward Shaykh Nuh and to bless him always and his family and to increase them in knowledge and piety and action as well, and to allow all of us to benefit from this family as well. Ameen. Now, one thing I want to mention is that Ramadan is about 2.5 weeks ago, right? Ramadan passed about 2.5 weeks ago, and subhanAllah, the time just flew by. And you know, the month of Ramadan is the month in which the Quran has been revealed in. So, you know, let's take what we've just heard of the recitation of the Quran, and let's take the reminder that Ramadan has passed us as a motivation, right? To learn the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to still attach yourself to the book of Allah azza wa jal. The Quran is, it's important in Ramadan and it's important outside of Ramadan as well. So let's take these moments to just reflect, right? Try to plan whether it's a few ayat a day, whether it's a page a day, whether it's a little a day, it doesn't matter. Just try to do something, right? Try to work on something, and eventually it'll get better and better and better, and then you'll be able to recite the Quran, better. And let's not forget about, contemplating over the Quran as well, right? A lot of us, we place a lot of emphasis on ourselves, on our families, with memorizing the Quran and reciting the Quran. But it's equally important, if not even more important, to reflect over it and to understand it. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the recitation of the Quran and the understanding of the Quran as well. Ameen. And we do this so we may attain Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's pleasure. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says that إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَرْفَعُ بِهَذَا الْقُرْآنِ أَقْوَامًا وَيَضَعُ بِهِ آخَرِينَ أو كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says that Allah raises people with this Quran and He debases others with this Quran as well. So ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we be among those who raise and rise in ranks in paradise and in this dunya with the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ameen. Now, inshallah ta'ala, with our final segment of today's program, we're going to have a reminder by our Shaykh, our teacher, our Imam, Mufti Muhammad ibn Munir. And he as well is not a strange face among us, alhamdulillah. We all know him, we've heard him, we've benefited from him, alhamdulillah. He is the Imam of Masjid Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah on the Vanwick. He has a YouTube channel that you've probably seen at least one of his videos, the HadithDisciple page. So without further ado, let's have him benefit us by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with a few words, inshallah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Sallallahu sallam wa barak ala abdih wa rasulih. Nabina wa imamina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. To our esteemed hosts, all those who are in attendance, all the guests, the brothers and the sisters, the greetings, the salutations, and the peace and the blessings of Al-Islam we extend to each and every one of you, and also to the brothers and the sisters who are watching worldwide. When I first came in, I greeted Brother Zakaria, I congratulated him, and I expressed my happiness and my joy, and Allah blessing him and his wife with a baby girl. And then, like we normally do, asking, what's going on, what's new, how are you? And we made a few jokes, walillah alhamd. And one of those jokes that I made or he made, we made with each other was, is this considered traveling or not? Are we traveling? Is this qasar? Is this safar? Fiqh jokes. So I said, no doubt, we're traveling. I'm going to make 2 rak'ah. And he says, la ya shaykh, this is not traveling. I'm going to make 4 rak'ah, so on and so forth. Walillah alhamd. So with that being said, when he said that to me, when I said that to him, it reminded me of a reality. And that is the reality of a forgotten sunnah. Something that many people have forgotten about. Many people neglect and abandon. Rather, many of us, and unfortunately, maybe most of us don't even know about one of the acts and one of the practices of our beloved messenger, the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. And from those forgotten sunnahs when it comes to traveling is taking a leader. Is appointing someone to be your Amir. Someone who's the group leader. The scholars of Islam, they say, is that the group leader has a purpose. And the purpose isn't just for power. It isn't just to give someone a pat on the back. It isn't to put someone on a pedestal or put someone above and beyond others. But from the most important wisdoms of making a leader when you travel is to stop the people from differing. And the people from fighting, and the people from bickering. Which road are we going to take? When are we going to leave? Whose GPS are we going to use? What time are we to get there? What time are we leaving? Are we combining our salats? Are we making dhuhr and asr and etc.? And this is from the most important wisdoms of there being a leader. Most of the scholars of Islam, they hold the view is that it isn't obligatory, but it's a recommended thing to do. To have a leader when you go on a trip. And there's some of the scholars of Islam who say is that this is an option. And there has to be someone who's made the Amir. And they base this opinion and this view off of many hadiths. From those narrations, there's a narration of Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As radiallahu anhuma, in which the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam is quoted to have said, and this hadith is not necessarily an authentic hadith, but it's a famous hadith. لا يحل لثلاثة نفر يكونون بفلاة من الأرض إلا إذا أمروا عليهم أحدهم أو كما جاء. The hadith that says is that when there are 3 or more people and they're traveling, bifalatin min al-ard, they're in the middle of nowhere, they're in a wasteland, they're in the desert, they're on the road, far from civilization, far from stops, far from the comfort of being at home, they must put at least one of them in charge. إِلَّا أَمَّرُوا عَلَيْهِمْ أَحَدَهُمْ, is that there has to be one person who's in charge. And they say that this one person who's the emir, he has to be in charge for what I've just explained. It's to stop the people from differing and to protect the people. The one who has the most knowledge about the road. This is the safest road. Or as Zakaria mentioned, traffic. A beginner driver, one who's relying on the GPS, one who's blindly following the GPS, he doesn't realize it's not the best road to take. It's congested. It's backed up. It's all red on the GPS. Take this road. Take this street. Take this avenue. So on and so forth. So with this being said, you may ask the question now, what is the purpose of this speech? Are you here to give a fiqh lesson? Are you here to give a long lecture, a scholastic lecture at an Aqiqah, and which is supposed to be a time of happiness and joy, a time of festivity? Brothers are eating and drinking, playing basketball. We have babies. What's the purpose behind this? The fiqh of traveling and the importance of traveling and the manner of the Prophet ﷺ is directly connected to the Aqiqah, and it is directly connected to having a newborn baby in al-Islam. It is directly connected to having a newborn baby in al-Islam. There's a narration that states, and once again this narration is not necessarily the most authentic narration. It says, الَّذِي يَتَعَلَّمُ فِي الصِّغَرِ كَالنَّقْشِ فِي الْحَجَرِ وَالَّذِي يَتَعَلَّمُ فِي الْكِبَرِ كَالَّذِي يَكْتُبُ عَلَى الْمَاءِ. The narration says that he who learns when he's young, it's like chiseling a rock. It's like sculpting stone. And he who learns when he's old, it's like writing on water. He who learns when he's young, he who teaches someone when they are young, it's like he's chiseling and he's sculpting something. And he who learns or is trying to be taught something, or you're trying to teach someone when they're older, it's like getting someone to write upon water. So what does this have to do with the Aqiqah? And what does this have to do with traveling? And what does it have to do with the newborn baby? When you read the stories of the early Muslims of Islam, you'll find that they truly understood Islam and they truly practiced Islam. And they had the best understanding of the deen. And the deen that they knew, that they understood, that they practiced, it just wasn't in the mosque or the masjid. It just wasn't on Friday. It just wasn't in Ramadan. It just wasn't on Jumu'ah. It just wasn't during Hajj or in Taraweeh. It just wasn't concerning how they looked and how they dressed. But every single aspect of their lives, it was guided by the pure teachings of Al-Islam. And from that is the etiquette of traveling. And it isn't strange for you to read about a great scholar of Islam, a leader, a warrior, an alim, a muhaddith, that when he traveled with his friends and his companions, كَانَ يَشْتَرِطُ عَلَيْهِمْ, he made requirements. And from those requirements were what? That you have to carry me, that you have to pay for my food, that you have to make me the leader, that I sit in the front seat, that I get the window seat. No. These great scholars of Islam, they would make requirements that when we travel, I'm serving, and I'm paying, and I'm buying, and I'm going to do the work. I will pay myself, even though I'm the teacher and you're my student, but I'm going to pay. I'm going to take care of you. And if you don't agree with that, then I won't travel with you. Many of the Sahaba, they did this. There were many of the Tabi'een, they wanted to be with this companion and that companion to learn from them and to serve them. Khidmatul alim. And then they would say, and all of a sudden, Ibn Abbas or Abdullah bin Amr ibn al-As or Ibn Mas'ud, فَإِذَا هُوَ يَخْدِمُنِي, he was the one who was serving me when we were traveling. So there's a narration once of two of the early Muslims that one day, obviously one Muslim, he was greater, he was more learned, he had a higher status than the other. But he said to the one who was quote unquote beneath him, he says, who do you want to be the emir on this trip? And they said, of course we want you to be the emir, like I just said. We want you to be the leader. He said, are you sure? He said, yes, we want you to be the leader. He says, if you make me the leader, you have to listen to me, you have to obey me. You know that, right? That the emir, lahu sam'u ta'a. You have to listen to me and you have to obey me, right or wrong. He says, of course, no problem. So they start traveling. And when it was time to bring the water, he got down to grab the water skin, and the alim pushed him back, says, no, I'll grab the water skin myself. When it was time to make the fire, to prepare their meals or to keep warm, he was the one who gathered the firewood. He was the one who brought the charcoal. When it was time to feed the horses, the camels, when it was time to do every single thing, the leader, the scholar, he was the one who did it. And the student or the follower, he says, Rahimakallah, he says, don't carry that. May Allah have mercy on me. Let me carry it for you. Let me bend over for you. Let me get a splinter for you. And he said, didn't you put me as the emir? Didn't you say that I was the emir? He says, yes, I did. Doesn't the emir have to be heard and obeyed? He says, yes. He says, then I'm going to do it and you can't say anything. I'm going to serve. I'm going to treat. I'm going to look after you, etc. So what is the connection now between traveling, between the aqiqah, and between chiseling or sculpting versus writing on water? Who taught this learned person to be courteous, to be generous, to be humble, and to stifle his ego, and to be the one who serves, the one who goes and fetches and does everything? Who taught him that? Where did he learn that? And most importantly, brothers and sisters, when did he learn that etiquette? Or maybe he didn't learn it. Instead, it was instilled in him. He was taught how to serve, how to be humble, and taking the honor and service at a what? At a young age. Kenakshi fil hajar. It's like chiseling and sculpting, i.e., it takes effort. It's not a piece of wood. It's not clay, china, or pottery. It's stone. So it's hard to chisel. But once you put in the effort with the skill, what happens with the sculpture later on? What happens with the thing that was made into the stone? It doesn't what? It doesn't go away. It's permanent. And there's no effort that's needed afterwards. You may polish it, blow it off, dust it off, but the chiseled thing remains chiseled. Whatever you wrote in that stone, that wall, or that plaque. As far as the one who tries to learn when he's old, it's like writing on water. I.e., you can't teach an old dog new tricks, as they say. You can't give an old leopard new spots. It's difficult to learn when you're older. So the point of this discussion is that when it comes to children in Al-Islam, teaching them, educating them, raising them, and nurturing them is something that starts from day one. And from that ta'leem and that tarbiyah is the aqiqah. From chiseling and making the permanent mark is choosing a good name for the child. It's shaving the head of the child. It's slaughtering on behalf of the child. It is announcing the birth for the child and allowing the Muslims to know and to see this is our daughter, this is our son. Bal. Rather, many people, they ask questions. What advice do you give on me raising my son? What advice can you give me on taking care of my children? My son is 7. My daughter is 12. They don't want to pray. They're lazy. They don't want to study. They don't want to wear hijab. They don't. We say that you're late. You're supposed to teach your children and ask Allah to protect your children and to keep them righteous before they're even born. The tarbiyah of the child takes place before they're even born. The tarbiyah of the child is before you even get married. And that is marrying a woman who's loving, and marrying a woman who's fertile, and marrying a woman who comes from good stock, from good family values. And that is making the dua before consummating the marriage. And that is making the dua before going intimately to your wife. And that is asking Allah to protect the baby in the womb and avoiding anger and abuse and fighting and cursing and all of the haram things that the child is annoyed and harmed by in the womb. Trauma passes on through generations. It's proven. Trauma and traumatic experiences, these are things that have an effect upon the child in the womb because they can hear, they can sense, they can feel, let alone what the woman is going through. And then you pick the good name for this child, you make the aqiqah for the child, you give the tahniq to the child, you teach the child the Quran, you send the child to the Quran teacher, and the tarbiyah continues. So that narration, there lies no doubt, is tremendous wisdom. Is that he who learns when he's young and he who's taught who's young can naqshi fil hajar. It's like chiseling stone. It never goes away. And the efforts that you put forth for your daughter and for your son when they are young will remain. And the Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam, he clearly tells us that when you die, all of your deeds stop. Illa min thalatha, except for 3. And from those continuous good deeds is waladin salihin yad'u lahu. as a righteous child who prays for you when you go. A righteous child, not one who fights over the inheritance, over the estate, who will inherit the house, who will take the cars, the automobiles. I never liked my father anyhow. I'm glad that he's dead. As the Prophet ﷺ has told us, when you die, mustarihun or mustarahun min waliyadu billah. Either you're resting or the people are resting from you. Think about that hadith now. When you die, everyone is an RIP. Many people are being punished and tortured in their graves, waliyadu billah. And there are others who are resting. And those who are being tortured, who are tyrants, who are bullies, who are evildoers and wrongdoers, the people now have a break. And don't you know it's a reality that your son or your daughter, they may not be sad that you're gone, they may be happy. Waliyadu billah. And wallahi, brothers and sisters, we've seen this with our eyes. Wallahi, I lie to you not. I've been to funerals. I've been to janazas in which the wife, the son, has no sign of being distressed, rather they're happy that he's gone. He's finally gone and we're free from him. So do you want that to be your legacy? Or do you want Maryam and Abdurrahman and Amatullah and Ismail to pray for you when you're dead? And ask Allah to forgive you, to have mercy upon you, and to make your grave expansive and allow you to smell the fragrance and the aroma of Jannah and to see your place in Jannah, and for Allah to show you what could have been your place in the fire of hell. So with that being said, we need to teach our children when they are young. We need to chisel the rock when they are young. Do not wait 3 years old, 5 years old, 7 years old, 10. Don't teach your son how to be a man when he's 16. It's too late. If your son has peach fuzz on his face, if he has dirt on his lip, he has a mustache, he's in puberty, it's too late to teach him how to be a man. You have to teach him how to be brave and courageous and neat and clean and to smell good and to look good and to be handsome and to be courteous from a young age. You have to teach your daughter virtue, to be chaste, to be honorable, to be a strong woman, and not to allow anyone to run over her, anyone, from a young age. These virtues have to be instilled in the child at a young age, just like that righteous man who wanted to be the servant, even though he was the leader, he was the chief, he was the alim, but he says, I'm going to serve you. And there lies no doubt, he didn't learn that from a book. He didn't learn that from a teacher. He didn't learn that from this narration. He learned that from his parents at a young age. So with that being said, we congratulate our brother Zakaria and his wife on their newborn. And we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to place a great deal of barakah in the child. As Al-Hasan al-Basri rahimahullah ta'ala used to say, not the Prophet, Al-Hasan al-Basri, he used to say, Burikta fil mawlud, he says, may you have blessing in your new child. Waruziqta birrahu, may you be given its good treatment. Wa balagha ashuddahu, and may the child reach its full age of maturity. Wa shakarta al-wahib, and may you be thankful to the one who gave you the gift. Thank you very much for your time, for your attention, and for your respect. Please enjoy the rest of your day. Jazakumullahu khairan.
May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward Sheikh Mufti for that reminder. Now, as